first of all, let me talk about this. This is self-employment. This is a job where you are either in the creative industry, you're making your money work for you, or you are coming into a place of financial abundance. You have been consistently working really hard and the money starts to rack up, right? Like the money is starting to roll in. So I feel like at this point, financially, some of you are in a good space and some of you are progressing and some of you are even thinking about a lot of investment opportunities. If you are branching off and doing investment for this month, I would advise you to play it safe, okay? Don't expand too fast. There is a lot of financial uncertainty right now. There's a lot of fluctuations in the financial markets. So they're saying, you know, don't they're like don't eat all your candy at once. So I feel like it's indicative of diversifying your portfolio. It's also conducive to you looking at other opportunities, safe choices, rather than plunging right in, because I feel like there's some contraction here and you might be at a loss, major loss when it comes to big, risky investment endeavors, okay? So being a little bit more conservative when it comes to investment opportunities, that is going to be very crucial for you. And if you are investing, if you're like a financier and you're lending out money to people, making sure that they have a good track history under their belt, making sure they are reputable, and making sure that, you know, they are where they say they are, because I feel like making sure that the other person is legitimate is one of the safest way that you can safeguard your money. So it's sort of like you, going back to what I mentioned before, you are very, very sympathetic and you want people to succeed. You really care that people are given the right opportunities so that they can thrive. But I do feel there are situations here that you need to be very careful about as it relates to sending out a loan, making a loan to somebody, or especially giving money to financial institutions. You want to be very careful to be able to safeguard your money to avoid like a massive loss, okay? So being a little bit erring on the more conservative side, I feel it is going to be very crucial for you, all right? The second thing that came into the picture here, we have here the Sun and the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands basically indicates new projects, new endeavors, things that are very, very exciting, things that are just, you know, like they're exhilarating, such as thrill-seeking activity, such as new creative endeavors as well. If you have somebody that is bringing you new things, and especially if they're saying this is, you know, something that you can really blow up, we can really make a lot of money, we can get a lot of fame, get a lot of notoriety, get a lot of visibility, I feel that you might need to be careful as well, because this is kind of like the boy who cried wolf. They hype up a big theory, they hype up a big game plan, but when it comes to foundationally, do they have a solid viable business model? Do they have a solid viable proposal? Do they have substance to back up what they claim? I feel like they're lacking in substance. So I feel like something that was hyped up is going to come crumbling down. And it's really important for you to keep your wits about you and be very discerning when you are interacting with people for this month, okay? Don't get duped. Don't let them, you know, poke at that soft heart of yours, because I feel like that's how they get you. And they might not have the best intentions. And I feel like they're a little bit reckless because it is your money that they're toying around with, not theirs. And that's why they're just a little bit reckless, irresponsible, and they're not doing the preliminary market research and spinning you this pipe dream, and in fact it's not built on a stable foundation. So I want you to be very careful about where you are giving your money, to whom you are giving your money, and to where you are investing your money, okay? So be careful about that, all right? This is a really good place to be, and I feel like, you know, in terms of financial abundance, this is a very great place because you're not working very hard. You have a lot of leisure time. And so you want to maintain the status quo. You want to err on the safe side, and you want to, you know, minimize the amount of risk. Okay. Moving forward, what I have as well is, I feel like this big travel opportunity that is beckoning you, calling you. And I feel like for some of you, you might be called in overtime at work. There might even be, if, for example, you are working on a commission on a client-based basis. You are getting some solicitation for travel, for leisure activities, to do sightseeing, to travel, to see another person. And especially if you are dealing here with a fire sign. So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo, sun, moon, or rising. They're telling you, come to see me, come travel this way. And you're kind of on the fence about, do I really want to go to see that person? Do I want to get emotionally more wrapped up in the other person? If you were to travel, I feel like you're going to be dealing with it at a financial cost to you. And I feel like you need to keep yourself available because of work projects, because of things coming through. So if you're taking the time off to make this travel arrangement or to, really travel, I feel like you're going to have to forego, like you're going to have to turn down some projects because you're not physically available to undertake these projects. And at the same time, if you're looking for work, if you're looking for solid employment, try to stay put, try not to travel because news are coming through very unexpectedly and you need to be present physically in order to follow up with a firm, to follow up with an organization, to be able to get new jobs and to land new projects. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. What I mentioned earlier as well is I do feel some issues within the home, either, somebody dealing with health issues, or especially substance abuse. This is a card about somebody who is a little bit more like playing the victim, someone who's dealing with a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, but I feel like they're not really cognizant of the fact that they have created a series of, they have chosen a series of bad life decisions, and I feel like it's gotten them to a place where they're kind of like, woe is me. Okay. So I feel like there is a need for you to travel as well, to take care of situations within the household, things that are kind of rocky. They're going to crumble down. So that means the home family foundation, especially if you need to stage intervention for young children here with the page, somebody who's gone off the deep end, somebody who's lost their sense of direction, who has lost their moral compass, or who is in a space where they feel very stuck and they don't know how to get themselves out of their predicament. So I feel like there is going to be some family demands coming, kind of like falling upon you. And you're going to need to keep yourself physically and emotionally in top shape in order to deal with this. So that means traveling, plans that have been made, I feel like they might need to be revisited, or they might need to be like changed at the last minute. Okay. Cancers, I'm also feeling for many of you as well. There are a lot of creative ventures that are coming through for you. And this is more like on the creative end, which is, so for example, if you're working in a creative field, if you, for example, do things with your hands, build things, create things like an artist, a singer, a photographer, a model, if it's a creative endeavor, I feel like some creative endeavors will allow you to rub shoulders with some really important people. And I feel like you're going to be traveling to do these creative endeavors. You're also going to be as well expanding, outwards, dealing with a lot of people from different walks of life, different parts of the world, dealing with people who might be outside of your, cultural, linguistic, national background. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for expansion, right? So be very clear to keep yourself, keep expectations very fluid for this month. Don't say, oh, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't look like it's going to pan out for me. I feel like you should grab opportunities. And at the same time, if you're dealing with different people who are very, very different from you, be very open-minded, okay? Be able to navigate that social environment, because I feel like projects come into the picture, and then I feel like it's really going to enhance your visibility here. It's going to give you a lot of success. But when it shows up in the reverse position, success is theirs, but you need to grab these opportunities. You need to be on the grabbing end. You need to be on the proactive end to make it work for you, because they're falling into place. But it is still up to you to push this energy forward, okay? So how you interact with other people is going to be very, very crucial. They want somebody who is very confident. They want somebody who is very worldly and cultured. And they don't want somebody who's wishy-washy. They don't want somebody who's like having difficulties making decisions. So I feel like, err on the side of like showing your competence, showing that you're not wishy-washy, showing them the fact that you know what you're doing. Okay, so I feel like, going back to the first message that I mentioned, I feel as if you want to be very likable. You want to be, you want to go with the crowd, but I do sense that your sense of individuality is going to be very important for you to make traction in the world and for you to land new projects, okay? And for you to be in a very competitive environment where you're going to stand out in some way. Let me see here. The last message I'm getting here is, I feel like this is a relationship here. You have a relationship, I feel, with this person. This is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. And I'm sensing, the energy of this person. There's going to be some news coming through from this person that might really upset your plans. And I feel like it's very unintended, okay? And I feel like this is somebody that generally, they care about you. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're generally very, very loving, supportive, affectionate, and truthful. But I feel like there are some issues when it comes to communication between you and this person. And there is a sense of like, whether or not the relationship is fair, whether or not you see long-term potential for this relationship. If you do not see long-term potential for this relationship, it might be in your best interest to cut your losses now, because it feels like a lot of things are coming through. They might demand to come see you. You might want to come see them, and then things just kind of unravel at the last minute. And I feel like there's a sense here of a relationship that's on its way out. Okay, like they mentioned a relationship on its way out. So you want to be very careful about this. I'm going to do your love relationship reading in just a little bit. But I feel like reassessing the demands that your relationship partners are placing upon you, whether or not that is fair, whether or not they are giving their fair share of the contribution in the relationship. So the foundation is something that you're coming into the month of, you're coming into the month of August with the knowledge of, okay, this is something that has already happened. You're dealing with it right now and you're coping with it. First of all, we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is a foundation for a very, very good relationship. This is stability. This is like living with another person, getting married to another person, creating a home, creating a family, creating an environment where two people can work together and, take the relationship to the next level. I feel like some of you have been in this situation where you try to keep the family unit intact, where you have lived with another person. There might have been promises for marriage. There might be, you're like buying property. You're trying your best to keep the situation stable. However, I feel here it's linked up with the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups, it's like no matter what you did, the energy was very volatile between you and the other person. You might not have the same sense of what it means to have a family. You might not have the same direction when it comes to like, where do we want to take our relationship? There might have been some recent falling out between you and a significant relationship partner. And no matter how hard you try to keep the family unit intact, I feel that it is kind of like drifting away. The other party might have tried to move on. You yourself are trying to move on. And I feel like you're dealing with regrets. Like, I should have done this. I should have done more. I should have stuck around. So I feel like we're dealing with some regrets here as it relates to a recent significant relationship that you've been in. Significant relationships usually, last for like 5 years or more. Okay. And significant relationships are relationships where you actually I feel like you have somebody that was very, very stable. You have somebody that you had plans to either move in together, get married, or buy property together, or you might have even been married with them. But I feel like there might have been a separation recently, a divorce, a moving out, and I feel like you're still yearning for that stability. And I feel like there is some regrets here. I should have done more, is what I'm hearing. So I feel some of you are dealing with regrets based on how a past relationship ended. What's in the past? This is the recent past. We have a lot of conflict. Some of you might have dealt with an air sign. We have here the 5 of Wands. And this is a situation where philosophically you can't agree with another person. Philosophically, it doesn't mean like, you know, you can't agree on how to save money. It doesn't mean that. I feel like philosophically, the other person feels this is right and this is wrong, and you feel like that's not the case. So I feel like on some intellectual, on some philosophical level, you can't see eye to eye. And it feels like one person is behaving in a way where they're emotionally unavailable, or at least they feel like it seems to me like one person feels verbally or emotionally attacked by the other person. And it feels as well, one person feels as if the other person is not emotionally available. I'm looking at the 2 swords. One person has all these necklaces and gems and jewelry hanging on their swords. You were dealing with somebody where philosophically you feel like they were too, and I hate saying this, but it did come out. You feel like they're too materialistic. They're too money grubbing. They're so caught up in making money that they neglected the relationship. They neglected the home. They neglected their responsibilities as your relationship partner. And so there were a lot of, you know, you love each other. They don't seem like a bad person, but the way that you both are approaching this issue, the way that you both view money, I feel like it was a major source of contention in the relationship. And then for others of you, you might have been dealing with a fire sign, a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. And I feel like this fire sign might have accused you of stepping out on the relationship. The fire sign might have her or his own trust issues, where they're kind of bringing their trust issues onto the relationship with you. And they're looking at you through the lens of whatever hurts they've been dealing with the past. And so I feel like the interaction between the 2 of you, it's very exciting. It's very dynamic. It's really, you know, it's very, I'm hearing like chemically inducing. So you might have had a lot of fun together. You might have experimented with a lot of, you know, recreational, things like drugs, alcohol. Like it was very, very fun. It was very experimental. Some of you are still dealing with this person, but I do feel overall that it's a relationship that is exciting, but it seems like one person plays the victim, or one person is constantly attacking the other person. There are trust issues here for sure. Okay. Moving forward into the present environment, what we have is the Magician. And we have as well the Ace of Wands. So let me talk about this. The Ace of Wands is kind of like new energy. This is like a new spark of passion being introduced in a relationship, or a new person coming into the picture. And the Ace of Wands is a very, you know, like, it's a very physically attractive type of a relationship where you are attracted to each other. There's a very strong sense of passion, chemistry, and things like that. And the person that you're dealing with here, the Magician. The Magician is somebody that is, you know, they look really nice. They're very well dressed. They're very well groomed. And I feel like they're dressed to a T, you know, like they're dressed to impress. This is somebody with quite a bit of, like they say, expensive taste. They might or might not have a lot of money, but they have expensive taste. They like to be wine and dine. They like to rub shoulders with the rich and famous. They might have a career in the public limelight. They might be a politician. They might be, you know, like a entertainer. And so I feel like you have somebody coming into the picture that you are very, very interested in, and they're very dynamic, they're very attractive, very exciting, very intelligent as well. And I feel that you're carrying a torch. Some of you are carrying a torch for this new person. If you are in a relationship and your partner has trust issues, I feel like just to appease your partner, you want to be very, very clear to steer clear of this person, because this person knows how to seduce, okay? So that's what I'm feeling here. Some of you are in one relationship and you are attracted to another person. And I'm also feeling some of you left relationships and you have a new person coming into the picture. It feels like it can be very exciting, but it doesn't feel to me like it's going to lead to a stable relationship, because the nature of this is it's very like chemically inducing. It's very passionate. It's very exciting, but it is going to burn out. It is going to fizzle out. And over time, the passion and the excitement without that emotional rapport, I don't feel that you're going to settle for a relationship like that, okay? So you have opportunities for new attractions, short-term relationships, short flings, one-night stands. But when it comes overall to long-term relationship prospects, I just don't feel that this is the right person for you. Crowning this reading is something that you are thinking about. We have here the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles, two other signs have gotten this card. This is a card where we are emerging from a really dark period in our life and we're trying to get back into the dating world. This is a card about overcoming a lot of difficult challenges, financially, emotionally, even like self-esteem, overcoming self-esteem issue, overcoming our sense of lack of confidence in order to venture out and step into the light. And I also feel for many of you, there might have been a lot of financial issues affecting your ability to date, okay? So you might have been kind of like working very tirelessly to build up your empire, working very tirelessly to get away from this space of financial lack, to create a foundation for yourself and to create a better future for yourself. So your interest was not on dating. It was more on serious, tangible things. And in the process, if you are that person, in the process, you're going to encounter somebody who is very, very, they seemingly have it made. They seem very financially stable, very financially well off. They might make a living as a salesperson. They might make a living as like somebody who uses communication to make a living. A teacher, a salesman or salesperson, a saleswoman. A radio personality, a writer, somebody quite famous, okay? Somebody who's quite well known, who's very confident. And I feel like just by proxy of interacting with this person, if you're coming from this space of lack and you encounter somebody like this, you're going to feel very inspired. You're going to feel very, very like on top of the world. And I do feel you are carrying a torch for this person, okay? So moving into the future, we have here the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and the Seven of Swords. For ladies, or actually people who are dating, so Cancerian people, if you're watching this and you're dating men, you have somebody that's really dynamic, okay? This is not a long-term relationship partner. This is somebody that, yes, he is exciting, but I feel like he can be deceiving and he can have a lot of groupies, a lot of other people pining after him, vying for his attention. It's not going to lead to a relationship, because I feel like there could be other women in the picture, other people in the picture that he is feeding the same romantic story to.